What's up, guys? Welcome back to the garage. We got the OBS back in the shop here, and if you can't tell from the background, we're working on the air conditioner again. I'm not a professional air conditioner guy, so I've been struggling with this. It seems I have a leak. We went through the winter time, through the cooler weather, when not really needing the air conditioner, and now that it's warm again here in South Texas, when you turn the air conditioner on, it starts cycling, and I can tell that it's low on Freon. So we're going to try to figure out where that leak is, get that fixed, to get it recharged again, and hopefully be able to enjoy the truck over the summer months when it's nice and warm out. We can get out and have some fun, go to some car meets, things like that. So let's get started. Let's have a look at what I found so far. Let's get this fixed. So my AC gauge kit, the new one I bought, I had an older set that was kind of janky. It was kind of cheap. This newer one comes with the gauges and the vacuum pump, but it also comes with this guy. And this is a Freon tester. It beeps, and when you get close to Freon, it beeps faster. I don't know if it'll still do it because the system is now empty, but when the system still had some pressure in it, I was getting a signal from the far side of the back of the compressor fitting here. So this side over here. And I was getting a signal from inside the grill. It's going to be hard to see, but it's going to be down in the bottom. I'll take the grill off so you can see it, but it's the fitting way down there at the bottom. Again, I'll take the grill off, we can see it. I'm going to try to tone it now and see if it still does it, just from the residual, to show you guys what it does. But like I said, it may not, because there's mostly no pressure left in the system right now because it's drained. So this thing starts beeping. And when you get close to what is supposed to be a leak, it should beep faster. Yeah, it's not going to because there's no pressure left anymore. Let's see if it'll do it in the dash. So what it's supposed to do is this. It's supposed to beep fast. That's annoying as hell. It's supposed to beep fast whenever you get a signal of a leak. And I did this yesterday, like I said, with pressure in the system. And I'm getting a leak here and way up in the corner back there. I don't know if you can see that guy right there. So that's the evaporator in the grill and then the back of the compressor. Both of those are new connections with new seals. I've replaced literally everything on the truck with the exception of the compressor itself. But this has been replaced because I swapped it out for one that has a high side port. The old system did not have a high side port, so it made it hard to get the gauges right and get everything correct because I could only read the low side. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to pull this off, have a look at the seals there, and we're going to pull the one down there, have a look at the seals there, put it all back together, make sure it's good and tight. I have this kit of seals that I ordered off of probably Amazon. I hope it has everything I need. The only one I'm concerned about is the back of the compressor fitting. I don't know if those are special, but I've got all of these to try it. And then once we get that done, get everything tightened back up, we'll pull a vacuum on the system using my vacuum pump. Make sure it holds. We're going to take our time this time. We're going to do it right because I'm tired of messing with it. I'm tired of not having air conditioner because it's hot in Texas. It's really hot in Texas, and it's fixing to be really hot in Texas, and we got to have air conditioning. With a big V8 truck like this, the air conditioner should be able to run no problem at idle. Should be able to cool this little tiny single cab no problem at idle, and it's not. So we're going to fix it. All right, I'm going to go get some parts. We got to go get some Freon for sure because I don't have any of that. And we'll be back. For you guys, it'll be just a second, so see you then. All right, first things first, we got to get the grill off the truck. And I don't know that I've went through that process with you guys in detail. It's pretty straightforward, but if you ever need to get into behind the grill of the truck, there's a bunch of 7mm screws. There's one here, one in this pocket on both sides. And then there's some in the center here and then here. You got to get kind of creative with your extensions, especially that bottom one. It's going to take a long one. And then the rest of them are behind the turn signal light, so back here. So you got to use a Phillips head screwdriver to take the 4 screws out of that, pull that light bucket out, and then I'll show you where the other 2 are. And then after that, it comes off pretty easy. So let me pull the lights. I'll show you the other 2, and then we'll pull this thing off and have a look at our fitting. So these lights come out pretty easily. There's 4 Phillips head screwdrivers in the corners, or screws in the corners there. And then the lights themselves has a little tab down here. So you squeeze that tab and you twist, and the light pops out on both. Go ahead and tuck those in for this process because we don't want them hanging out here and then we're trying to pull the grill off. So get the light bucket out of the way. Don't want to drop that or bust it. And there's one more light, your little side marker light here. It's just a twist and pull. And then you've got your screw here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm about to get a screwdriver or a flashlight. Let me grab a flashlight. There it is back there. So you pull that one, and there's going to be one on both sides, and then that's the last of the grill screws. Once you get all the grill screws out, you just kind of have to work this. It's got this little trim lip inside the bumper. You got to kind of work that out back and forth and pull it out, and then we'll be able to see what's going on. All right, I'm going to try to work this thing off. The only thing is I added some lights behind the grill recently, so I got to make sure that the wires aren't too short. I may have to mess with that a bit, but for the most part, you'll see how it is to pull this thing out. So here we go. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward to get it off. Like I said, I have this cord here connected to the grill, so I can't just lay it off to the side somewhere. But that's good enough because we need to get to this fitting here. This is the side of the condenser that has the orifice in there. So it's high pressure coming in through the orifice and then low pressure as it goes into the condenser. So this is the one that the toner marked as leaky. So we're going to pull that one apart. We're going to check the seal and replace it. Possibly put a little bit of oil in there because I have lost a little bit from different things that I've had to do. And that's a good spot to pour some in. We'll make sure this one's good and snug. Replace the seal on this one. That actually sounds loose, so that's promising. And then we'll move on. These are pretty straightforward. You just get you a couple of adjustable wrenches or box-in wrenches if you have them the right size. These are pretty good sized fittings, so you may not have box-in wrenches big enough, but adjustables work just fine. They're not super high torque, so you're not really going to strip them. So you just double up there and break it loose, and we'll have a look at what's going on inside. All right, so I went ahead and got this apart. I pulled the orifice out just to kind of check it and make sure there's not a lot of buildup. There is a little bit of debris on it, but nothing major. It's not clogged up or anything. This was new when I put it in, so that's good to see. Just kind of wipe it down, make sure everything's clean, make sure there's no tears or holes in the mesh. We'll put that back in after I put a little bit of oil in this pipe here, just to refresh the system from the little bit that I've lost. And then we've got to check this seal here. We're going to go ahead and replace it, put a new seal on that, get it all tightened back up, and then we'll move on to the back of the compressor. One thing to note on this truck, as you all know, this is a 1989 Silverado, and typically that orifice tube is down low back there where the pressure line goes into the dash for the evaporator. That's typically where it is and where it was when I got this truck. But later years of the same system, there was a lot of complaints from customers, from truck owners, about the noise associated with that orifice, because it does a lot of hissing and bubbling and gurgling, and you could hear it in the cab. So in later years, they moved it to here. So what I did is I got a new evaporator that has the orifice in the right place, or the better place, and installed that and left it out under there. So now it's out here. So if you have an 88, 89, your orifice tube is going to be back there on the firewall. This is different and part of the later AC systems. So just keep that in mind if you're working on your own truck. All right, orifice tube is back in. I put just an ounce and a half of oil in there because I haven't lost a lot, but I know I have lost some. So I went ahead and put a little bit back in there. Got this back on, got it snugged up nice and tight. It doesn't have that weird ticky sound anymore. I did replace the seal that was in there. The one that was in it seemed a little small, like it was really tight on the fitting there, so I did one just slightly bigger. It's still snug, but it's not stretched tight like the other one was, which may have stretched it too far and made it too thin. So I think we're good there. Next is going to be trying to get this thing off the back of the compressor. I may have to pull the air filter housing to give myself some room to get in there with a wrench. It's a big nut on the back right here. So we'll get to that, check out those seals, see how that looks, maybe put a little oil on that side too. And then once we get done with all of that, we'll start pulling the vacuum on it. I haven't went to go get the Freon yet because I figured I would work the clock. So this has to set for like 20 or 30 minutes, at least 15, under a vacuum to verify that it's not leaking. So I figured I would get to that point, and then while I'm waiting, you know, go get lunch and Freon, 2 birds, 1 stone, knock it all out. So that's the plan. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this fitting off the back of the compressor here. We'll have a look at the seals on it. And then hopefully we can start pulling the vacuum on this. All right. Just in case you're keeping track of parts so far, these for the grill are 7mm socket, and then you got a standard Phillips head for the lights. Adjustable wrenches, a little plier to pull that orifice tube out, and then the big nut on the back of the compressor housing for that fitting is a 15mm. And I did not pull the air filter off because I use this wrench that bends. If you don't have one of these, you'll probably have to pull that, but that's pretty straightforward. So it's loose now. I'm fixing to pull it off and have a look at the seals, and we'll see what's going on. All right, got this fitting off. You can see the seals here. They do look pretty compressed. Like that one actually looks ripped. I don't know if you can see. Let me see if I can get you closer. Yeah, see, that one's got a little rip in it. And that one looks pretty banged up. But I think those are seals that are in my kit. They just look like regular old round seals. I was hoping they weren't more like a gasket style flat seal. I'm gonna go ahead and replace those and put it all back together. It's looking pretty good right now. These seals were pretty gnarly. You can see they're smashed pretty flat. That one's got a rip in it. That one's smashed flat. Looks like it's got a little rip in it too. But I was able to find the right ones in my case here. I did have them. I think it was these two. So we went ahead and changed those out on that fitting. So hopefully that fixes that leak. It really is refreshing whenever you're working on things like this and you see what looks like the obvious problem, because a lot of times you tear into this stuff and you look at it and you're like, what's wrong? What's it doing? Why is it doing what it's doing? And it's really hard and frustrating to put it all back together, just hoping that it works. So these seals being ripped like that give me some insight as to what possibly could have been the problem, and I'm more hopeful that what we're doing is going to fix it. So let's get them changed out and check it out. All right, so I got those seals changed out. I did have them in my kit. Put a little bit of oil in there. Got it tightened back up real snug. So I'm not going to put all of this back together yet, because if we still have a leak, then I don't want to have to take it all back apart again. So I'm going to go ahead and reconnect my gauges, connect up my vacuum pump, and get that thing started. It'll probably take about 15 or 20 minutes to pull the vacuum down to where it's supposed to be, and then we give it another 15 or 20 minutes to hold. So it's going to be a bit of a process. I'm going to get that started. Once I get everything connected, I'll kind of run through it with you guys. But that compressor pump is loud, so it's going to be hard to video while it's running. But let me get everything set back up and then we'll check it out. All right, using my little makeshift table here for the compressor or the vacuum pump. Got everything plumbed. Now this set of gauges is kind of bougie because it has a separate hose for the refrigerant and the vacuum. A lot of them just have one hose and you use the same one for both. You vacuum out of this, then you seal it up, then you switch over and you put in the refrigerant. Either way, you get it hooked up. Both of your high and low connectors are on. That's connected to your pump. You want to open both your high and your low side and then turn on your pump there and then open your pump valve and you'll see these needles start diving. And you want to get them down. They'll never make it to like negative 30, but you want them in the like negative 20s, 15, 20 range. You want to see some, you can see the blue here. I don't know how, see that negative 30. That's ideal, but we'll never get there because this is a little 1/3 pump, 1/3 horsepower. As long as it pulls a vacuum, gets all the air out of it, and that vacuum holds. That's the test. So I'm going to fire this off. Like I said, it's going to be loud, but I'll try to show you the needles dropping and you'll be able to see what's going on. All right, you can see the vacuum is pulling pretty good. That's a good sign. When it pulls down that fast, normally means that there's not a lot of leaks or not a big leak. So I'm going to let that pull for about 20 minutes to evac all the air and moisture and everything out of the system. And then we'll seal this off, turn the vac off, and see if it holds. All right, 20 minutes later. For you guys, it'll be just a second, so I'll see you then. All right, 30 minutes later. I let it run for 30 minutes this time. It pulled down a really good vacuum. It got almost all the way to 30, like quick, which is surprising. Normally it takes longer than that. Well, I'm hoping that's an optimistic sign that there were no leaks and it will hold. So now it's 15 after the hour. I'm going to give it 30 minutes. Come back and check on it and see where we're at. I'll probably give it more than that because I got some errands I need to run. The longer the better, because the longer it holds this pressure, the better outcome we're going to have. So we'll see. For you guys, again, it'll be just a minute. See you then. All right, goods acquired. Got me some Freon. And check this out. We are still at negative 30. That's freaking awesome. It's been like an hour and a half because I went and did some errands and had some lunch, and I am excited about that. Now, all we got to do is get this Freon back in there, put everything back together, and we can enjoy the truck over the summer. Let's go. All right, now that we got this vacuum on the system and it's holding, I know we've went through this before in one of the other videos, but this is a little refresher. The next step's going to be your Freon. Got your little can here, 134A. So with this set of gauges, you're going to connect that to this yellow hose. Make sure I'm in the video here. Yeah. Just screw that on. And then this is going to puncture the can and open it for you, just like that. I like to go all the way down and then back it off a turn and a half. And then you want to sit this can upside down somewhere because you want to pull the fluid, not the gas, so that it goes faster. And because the system is absolutely empty right now, we're just going to put this one can in to get some pressure into the system. So first thing you want to do, there's air in this line, but this has a Schrader valve here, kind of like a bicycle tire. So you want to hit that with your thumb until you saw the white Freon stuff come out. Make sure you don't get that in their face, but that has purged all the air out of this line. And now you can open up this refrigerant valve and let that flow into the system on the truck. Get y'all set back up over here. I'm going to open this valve up and open up the low side. You'll hear it start flowing in. And it'll pretty much suck this can dry pretty quick because there's nothing, there's a vacuum on the system right now and no Freon. You got to get something in the system before you start the truck, or else the compressor just won't kick on. It won't have enough fluid, and it's got a safety switch. So this is going to suck this can down. It's almost empty. Can will get pretty cold when it does so. And you can see there's a little glass port here. I don't know if you can see it from that far away, but there's a little glass port here that kind of bubbles, and you can see this fluid going into the truck. So this can's almost empty. Feels pretty empty. So I'm going to go ahead and close off the refrigerant valve. Close this valve. And then we're just going to do that again with a new can. And then once it gets to where it's not really flowing anymore, then we'll start the truck to have the compressor start pulling down the low side vacuum to suck more out of the can. And this truck is supposed to be around 4 cans. So that's going to be kind of our target, but we're going to watch the gauges here. I'll have to look up and make sure, but I think the low side's supposed to be between 40 and 50, and the high side's supposed to be like 170, 180. For this model truck on 134A. So that's what we're going to shoot for. The last time I did this, I think it was like 4.5 cans, 4 3/4 cans. But that's kind of the goal. So I'm going to get 2 cans in here, and then we'll start it up. It's going to be a lot louder then, of course, but we'll walk through it and get it recharged and ready to go. All right, so I took in about half of this can, and it kind of stopped. I don't hear it hissing. I don't see any bubbles in the sight glass here. So that means we're going to start the truck up to get the compressor running, to get the rest of it. It's going to be the same process with the compressor running. You just keep adding cans. Second and third can should go in there, no problem. Then on the 4th can, you really start watching your gauges and get an idea where you need to be. I'm going to open up the garage real quick so we don't get gassed out. Fire the truck up, and then we'll continue. So the truck's running now, but you can hear the AC compressor keep cycling on and off because there's not enough Freon in the system yet. This can is almost empty. I'm going to go ahead and get the 3rd can connected and get it in there, and then it should settle down at that point and run, and then we'll start watching our gauges. 3rd can going in. As you can tell now, the AC compressor is staying on as it's sucking down this next can. That's a good sign. That means that things are working the way they're supposed to. Cans go pretty quick whenever the compressor's running. Finish this one out, we'll have a look at our gauges and see where we're at. 4th can going in now. Pressure settled down again. Once we get this one in there, we'll have a look and see where the gauges settle in at. You want to make sure the truck's running, of course, and the AC is on full blast with the windows down, because you don't want the cab to cool down and the AC to start turning off on its own. This can's pretty much empty, so let me get it up, disconnected, and we'll have a look at our gauges and see where we're at. All right, so Google says we're looking for 40 to 50 PSI on the cold side and 175 to 210 on the high side. So if we get in here and look, we're a little below 30 right now. And we're a little over 150 on the high side. So we need a little bit more in there. I'm going to start another can, feed it in slow, and I'll feed a little bit and then stop and let these settle, and then feed a little more and stop and let these settle until it's above 40 or between 40 and 50 on this side. And then this side should take care of itself once we get that one right. I'm going to grab another can and hook it up, and then we'll get that one running. Took that can and it only moved a little above 30 on the low side and about 165 on the high side. So I've got one more can left. I only bought 6, so hopefully this is enough. If not, I'll have to get some more, but the compressor is staying on. It's not cycling, so we're in range. We're in a good place. The air is blowing cold out of the vent, so I'm going to put this one more can in and we'll see what happens. All right, so it took all 6 cans, and as you can see here, we're just below 40 psi on the cold side, and in between 150, so about 175 on the high side. So we're just under where we need to be. Another half a can probably will do it. But it's cycling, it's running, no issues there. It's blowing cold out of the vent. Everything's good in here. So I'm gonna probably run and get one more can at the parts house. Finish this up while I have it all apart. We should be able to finish this one up. One thing to note though is that these pressures that we're looking at are based on an ambient temperature, and those pressures will go up as the ambient temperature goes up. So if it's a really hot day, those pressures are going to be higher, but they're based on an 80-degree ambient temperature, and it just so happens to be 80 degrees in my garage. Perfect. So a little more Freon, get it above 40. We should be done. I'll have to put all this stuff back together, but that's simple. All right, one more can in the system. Now our low side's just over 40. And the high side, just under 200. So that's in range of where we want it to be. The compressor's not cycling. Everything's working the way it should. Air out of the vents are cold. So that's where it needs to be. I go ahead and close all of this stuff up, put the grill back on, clean up my mess, and this one will be done. All right, got it all buttoned up and back together. Got the grill back on. AC's working now. Time will tell so if it holds. A couple of weeks to a month. If it's still blowing cold, I think we're good. But for now, we're going to finish this one off. Thank you guys for hanging out with me out here in the garage. I'm glad that we were able to get that one knocked out, and it didn't seem like there was a lot of big issues. I'm hoping that those problems we found fixed it. I also just figured out that the AC in the Jeep, old Eugene, is not blowing very well. May have to address that one pretty soon. I looked at it the other day and it didn't make any sense. The gauges weren't showing what I expected, so I'm not really sure why. I'm going to have to do some research before I jump into that one, but that'll probably be one of the future videos. As always, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. If you like this OBS content, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a lot more to come. I've got a big list of things I want to do to that truck. If you guys have any questions, please be sure to put them in the comment section. I'll be sure to answer. But other than that, you guys have a good one and rock on.